Hello, good to have you on the program again today, and of course it's special. Each time we discuss the economy, we look for ways to get things that will affect us and make things better for us, especially for the individual, then for the state and the nation at large. And this day, we'll still do the same, and that we're looking at something that is a beautiful news and beautiful story we've got for our country. Okechukwu here, by the way, and we'll be talking about something that has to do with petroleum products in Nigeria. And there is good news there, as I said. Someone has come to, or has started to come to the aid of Nigerians, and we'll talk about him and what he's doing. But before then, let me introduce my guest. I have a guest on the program this day, and he is Professor of Economics, and he is the London Enterprise Ambassador. He is the London Enterprise Ambassador, and not forgetting to mention that he's the Chief Economic Strategist of the ECOWAS Commission. He is also the President of the Institute of Professional Economists and Policy Management. Please let me welcome Professor Ken Ife. Prof, good to have you on the program
Good morning,
today.
and thank you for having me.
Right. And this day, we want to look at this topic that we have, and the topic says new tax, not tax this time, petroleum products pricing, Dangote to the rescue. Petroleum product pricing, Dangote to the rescue. So something beautiful just happened recently, and it's from Dangote Company. A lot really happened, but most of all, it's talking about the new way to help Nigeria and Nigerians at large. And so we want to talk about it, please. I'm going to do a lot of talking about it, but even in the face of all that, I want us to look at something we have, and that has to do with a brief story, a news bit on what has to do with the work of Dangote and the impact it's about to make in Nigeria. Let's take it. Then immediately after that, we'll return here, and then we'll start talking. And from that discussion, I'll also read some other things I got about the same factory and company that will be part of what we're talking about today on the program. Let's have it. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery says it will absorb over 1.07 trillion naira annually in its plan to distribute fuel directly to marketers nationwide. The refinery said it invested over 720 billion naira to implement the initiative of deploying 4,000 compressed natural gas powered trucks for the nationwide distribution of petroleum products, saying this was expected to save Nigerians over 1.7 trillion naira annually. This bold step will see the privately owned refinery absorb over 1.07 trillion naira annually in fuel distribution costs. The initiative is also poised to significantly benefit over 42 million micro, small, and medium enterprises by reducing energy costs and enhancing profitability, the company said in a statement. The initiative, which aims to eliminate transportation costs for fuel marketers and large-scale consumers, is also expected to help reduce pump prices and inflation. From 15 August, Dangote said it will begin the direct delivery of petrol and diesel to filling stations, industrial facilities, and other high-volume consumers. According to the statement, the aim was to meet Nigeria's daily consumption of 65 million liters of refined petroleum products. Okay, that's just a bit of it, because we'll still talk about a whole lot more. And I have a prof here to help me discuss this. There is a huge economic impact, what Dangote is about to do, that Nigerians will feel. So help us talk about it.
I think first we need to congratulate the president for upholding and implementing the PIA Act, which took over 20 years of going forward and backwards.
Yes.
His faithful implementation of the act, particularly the Naira to crude policy, is actually bringing home a lot of benefits. And I see also his policy of Nigerian first and his CNG policy, implementation policy. Three of them coming together are very, very dramatic, in the sense that what Dangote is bringing on board is to enable the 230 million Nigerians enjoy the fruit of our monocultural economy. And then also the 42 million MSMEs to have a look in on the benefit of improving the supply chain and bringing down prices and making fuel more available and more affordable, and then encouraging more employment, encouraging economic growth, bringing down inflation. These are all the benefits that it's going to bring in. I know there are people that have alternate views, but we'll have to exhaust what this means. Now, what he now done in the last 2 days is to issue the size of the economy, because we needed to know what's the size of the economy. Now he says that that's going to cost him 1.7 trillion naira. That's incredible. Now, if you're going to divide that 1.7 trillion by 230 million Nigerians, it means that he's actually handing out 7,400 naira to every Nigerian. And if you look at 50 million households in Nigeria, he's handing out 42,000 naira to every household. And if you're looking at 42 million MSMEs in Nigeria, he's handing out $40,000 naira to each of these companies. Now, that means a lot to the companies, because 70% of the input cost of producing anything in Nigeria, or even delivering your services, is connected to energy. So you're actually reducing the pain that businesses are having in this country. And that is the cost of running their generator. They get power 77% of the time. They are running their own power. They have to get fuel for their transport, and even if they are not transporting, they are receiving products that have been transported. So we have been living under the yoke of monopoly in these services. And then this guy is trying to open up the space. And in fact, what we have had in this area is misalignment of storage, supply, and logistics. Fuel supply and logistics over time, fueled by corruption. But he's trying to decriminalize this fuel supply chain and then bring more resilience and trust on that supply chain, so that Nigerians can get the benefit of this. And actually, the far more important thing that he is proposing to do is to bring lifeline to many of the petrol stations that have shut down. Those that are in the rural area that haven't been receiving fuel for years, is bringing them all back to life, and then creating more employment and easing the level of pain that these two constituencies, the population and the MSMEs, are having.
You see, thank you so much for giving us just a summary of this. The presidency, really, yes, this is not a kind of a ploy to run down the effort of the presidency. Definitely, Dangote industry, Dangote refinery, will not have been able to do what it's about to do without the federal government's assistance. Because definitely, the thing that has to do with Nigeria first is also part of what has made it possible for him. And that is the thinking of the president. That is it. And also we know that Naira to crude did a whole lot of work. You remember that after the first stage of 6 months, some powers that be wanted to scuttle it. But then the presidency stood, in fact, the president stood his ground, saying, no, it will continue, it will not end, because that would have cost us a whole lot, would have taken us back for, a long time. But that insistence on the president, that political will of the president has helped a lot in seeing that this matter has gone on and gone on well. I remember that what I read, that the group said that the presidency has described the initiative of the Dangote refinery as a pivotal moment in the federal government's push to mainstream gas-powered transportation. And they said that Tosi Koka, commercial coordinator of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, PCNGI, praised the move as a strong vote of confidence in Nigeria's gas-fueled future. You know, because of the fact we know that Dangote Group's acquisition of 4,000 CNG trucks is not only impressive, according to that man. He said that it's not only impressive in scale, but also highly strategic. That's it. And it signals to the market that CNG is no longer a distant prospect, but a current practical solution to high energy costs, emissions, and supply chain challenges. And it regards this as a milestone achievement in our effort to accelerate gas-powered transport adoption. And looking at all this, yes, it's true. Bringing it home the more, that initiative of the CNG initiative of the Dangote administration is in line with the plan of the presidency in the first place. And now it's coming. How would it, because the viewer would want to know a little more of, is this going to be a fluke? Is it going to be the way we hear things and afterwards it goes? How would it affect them in practice from August that it will start?
Okay, you know when President says Nigeria first,
yes,
what he actually means is 230 million Nigerian citizens first. Mm-hmm. So we must reduce any investment to how it impacts these people, social, economic, and environmental impact. Mm. The second item on his Nigerian first is the 42 million MSMEs. Mm-hmm. You know, let me tell you about the MSMEs.
Yes, please.
There are 90 million MSMEs in Africa. Mm-hmm. Nigeria has 42 million of those, 48%. Nigerian population is only 18% of Africa. Our GDP is less than 15% of Africa. But our entrepreneurship is 48%, which shows you that entrepreneurship is a latent comparative advantage for Nigeria.
Yes.
So anything you can do to reduce their pain and bring profitability to their business and transform informal to formal is a big plus, not only for Nigeria's GDP, for our growth rate, and for happiness and prosperity and employment. So that's what he's targeting with it, what's meant by Nigerian first. The second point is that Nigeria has a commitment to global warming,
yes,
which is expressed in our national determined contribution. So we adopted gas as our transition arrangement, our energy transition arrangement over the next 30 years, because every country has what they are offering. So that is accepted.
Yes.
But now the devil is in the implementation.
Okay.
The government is trying to do something, but they don't have enough resources. Because the president removed the subsidy, but only half of that subsidy money has actually been available to the president to do what he's trying to do. A bunch of it, a chunk of it has gone to governors. Their FAC was increased from 700 billion to 1.6 billion.
Yes.
Then some of it went to CNG initiative, which is important to deliver our commitment and bring more environmental sustainability. Then the small one left is doing on palliative here, palliative there, 2 million bags of fertilizer to farmers and all that. He could have done a hell of a lot more. And that's why Central World Bank said that NNPC trapped 50% of that subsidy in their inefficiency. And don't forget that they took about over $3 billion and by securitizing our crude revenue and gas revenue, and then they poured it into reporting the refinery. Those two refineries are just working, yes, but they're only producing naphtha. They're not producing PMS.
Yes.
And so you can't explain why you are still importing PMS, 200 million liters.
Yes.
All right, so you put all that aside. Before you embark on a national program, the big question you are going to ask, where did you pilot this? So he piloted this in December. Remember, we have a history of December hike.
Yes.
Hike in inflation, hike in transport costs, hike in hoarding of fuel, hike in prices of fuel. There was none of those last December. He brought it all down. He maintained the price of his product across the whole country, and that cost him over 10 billion naira. So there was a successful, and the inflation for the first time in 10 years dropped in December. December is always the peak.
Yes.
So the food inflation dropped because the transportation cost was arrested.
Yes.
And all these other factors were underpinned. So that was one experiment. And then they're now going to give, and then even in the 4,000 trucks is costing him 720 billion. But how about the 100 trucks that are going to be carrying gas to stations, to mother stations and booster stations? Then, and then before you talk about the 1 trillion of this running cost, all of that. So it's going to be a lot of cost that he's going to incur. But is it worth it? The question is worth it because he's using it to de-risk and bring more trust and confidence on the supply chain, on the food transportation, fuel transportation, storage, and logistics.
Yes.
Because when you de-risk that, prices come down. And let me tell you how it could come down. If you look at 825 naira per litre at the gantry. Now this 825 naira, divide it by, look at the people that are earning that 825 naira. You have the people who do prospecting of crude and then exploitation. You have the companies that have invested to bring out crude, extract crude. You have transportation of it, either coming from abroad or coming from pipeline or going by. That's the cost.
Yes, that's
then you have refining. That refining is also a cost. But you can imagine all of them share this 825. Somebody that has little or no investment will hike off go and sell 1,200, 1,250. That's what I buy in my village for my factory. So somebody's screaming 300 or to look at that kind of money. With little, when the people who have made investment are scrambling to get 10 naira or 20 naira. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And it's because of the structure. The rigidity in the structure and the corruption that invaded. And that's why in Nigeria, remember, the crude, one of the jobs of the medium and the downstream industry, regulatory agency, there are 3 tasks, immediate tasks ahead of them. One, tell us the exact quantity of this product that are being consumed. They've not told us.
They've not.
But Dangote can help him because with his trucks, he can actually mount, if he wants, he can mount satellite tracker on these trucks so that, and then do geofencing. So if they try to touch go near the border, alarm will come. They will see it on their console. And if they are going to move from Lagos to Kano or Lagos to Sokoto, if you move away from the track going there, alarm will come. So he can actually give us an accurate figure. And why do you not believe that there's an accurate figure? When we had border closures, fuel consumption dropped by about 30%. And all the countries, ECOWAS countries along the coast, up to Senegal, were all screaming. Their prices went up because they were getting this subsidy from Nigeria. So that was the evidence. It went up for over 30%. And they say, we are now saying, do the business. And they're not doing the business. The second assignment for them is to establish the production capacity, local production capacities of these refineries. So that the refineries capacity would be fed to the NUPRC, the upstream agency, and then he can now instruct those drilling crude to make sure that they satisfy local production refining capacity before exporting crude. They're not doing that. And then and also that information they have will determine whether there is shortage of petrol, PMS in the country, so that they can issue license for importation of crude. They're not doing that. They suddenly just giving license for 200 million liters to come in. And the third duty is for them to have a laboratory of international standard that can actually check the quality of what is being imported and even what is being produced in the country. But they haven't got it. Neither has the NNPC all these years has an internationally accredited laboratory. But Dangote has all that. And they don't want to use it to establish. So they are allowing substandard fuels to punish this country and then adulterated things. And you cannot compare like to like.
Yeah, well, you can't. You can't. Okay. It's good we are getting to hear about these things completely the way it is, because in its nationwide petroleum product distribution scheme, we were told that it will save Nigerians 1.7 trillion annually. 1.7 trillion annually. And so, looking at that, just as you've also, because when we talk about the fact that sometimes the quality of the petrol that we buy is so bad and so low, people will say, what do you know about it? Initially, at the initial stage for Dangote Refinery, when they started, we were told that they have brought in fuel that is not clean and all that. And that was when they talk about the place to look at it to see that it is okay. What do you call it now? The laboratory was mentioned, and he says you can come here and see it. And when
National Assembly went there and they saw the test carried out live.
Because before then, we've never had anything like that.
And the evidence is that Saudi Aramco is buying from him. Americans are importing from him. Most African countries are buying from him. Yeah. He's the highest quote, and it's Euro 5 and Euro 6.
You see?
About the highest. And let me tell you a bit more. First of all, we've all experienced when we had excess alcohol in our, and for a week, people suffered everywhere. No compensation was ever paid.
None.
So if there are many things that you measure, at least minimum of 11 of them, you have to measure the density of the fuel and specific gravity. These two will tell you when there's an adulteration. That is the level when you have more alcohol than required. Then you have pour point, you have flash point, you have octane number, you have sulfur content. ECOWAS has banned anything over 50 ppm parts per million of sulfur coming into the region. But go and see what they brought in. It's 5-6 times more sulfur. And what are you doing with this? You are causing pollution. You are destroying people's engine, people's generator, people's cars, and with reckless abandon. And the law requires you, the PIA law requires you to test this. You cannot import product using simply the certificate issued by the person who produced it, who couldn't even sell it in their own country. But they are dumping it here. And they don't want us here to get the benefit of a test.
And when it is eventually proven, no apologies will come from them.
Nothing, no punishment, no penalties. It's a criminal neglect.
Yes. Well, so what we are saying is that the initiative is poised to significantly benefit, as you said, 42 million micro, small, and medium-scale industries. You see, some people, because of the reduction of the energy costs and enhancement of profitability, you see that I know that there is joy already in the atmosphere, because August is not too far away from now. This is July 1, and so by August we'll start seeing some of this. I know that it will help us a whole lot, because I must tell you that so many people abandoned the use of their generators because of the high cost of the fuel and all that. But
and
poor quality.
Because there was an experiment that has not been disputed, where somebody put 1 liter in one engine and then put in Dangote zone and put the other one, and saw this giving more than 50% efficiency, burning efficiency, and longer time. So you could see something, and it has not been disputed.
It has not been disputed. And so because of that poor quality, of course, it affected the machine that is serving, that's the generator. There has always been serious wear and tear as a result of what harm that poor quality fuel have been causing it. So at a time like this, it's a kind of, some people are beginning to prepare themselves. Okay, I guess we'll start making use of these things again, because we will now be able to do better services, and we'll be able to render better services and do better jobs and be able to make more gains. Because when we render more services, then definitely people will want to come in the more and pay. Because of that, so many people have shut down their businesses. But this shows that there is hope for businesses that may have been shut down in the first place, and some that are working towards shutting down their services. So they should get up and prepare again. Is that not so?
That's correct. It's lifeline. That's the meaning of lifeline.
Yes.
Giving lifeline to the moribund stations, bringing more employment, lowering prices, improving the GDP growth rate.
Yes.
And in fact, When you let me tell you how it improves the growth rate, GDP growth rate.
Let's hear it.
There are 4 parameters that construct the GDP. One is household consumption. If you are reducing the household consumption of fuel, as well as reducing the price and making it more affordable and accessible,
yes,
then you are increasing the disposable income, yes, available to the household. With that, they can buy more products. So aggregate demand increases. Yes. That increases GDP. If you are doing the same to companies, they are going to be more profitable. They are going to spend less on fuel. They are going to have more efficient use of the fuel, accessible, profitable. Their profit will go up. They have more money in their disposable investment to invest more, create more jobs, stop redundancy, and then increase output. Aggregate output increases GDP.
Okay.
So all of those, including of course the removal of the subsidy, moves our balance of payment from negative to plus $6.8 billion, increasing GDP. Government spending is the 4th one that also increases GDP. So in all cases, the GDP is going to have a huge increase. Inflation will come down. I mean, all the parameters, macroeconomic parameters, will be positive.
That's good. Thank you so much, Prof. Looking at all this now, it's a matter of getting ready and preparing for it. Now, let's look at the government here. The federal government, because of the strong political will of the presidency and the president, will see that this is happening. But have you foreseen anything that could be a problem from states and from local governments?
The states are not distributors of petrol or retailers, neither are local governments. The one that is a problem that we should solve is NNPC monopoly.
Okay.
Because NNPC is in upstream, which is where they should stay and do more in the upstream sector.
Yes,
encouraging these IOCs that left for offshore to come and continue to invest on our upstream, that is our upstream prospecting and all of that. Encouraging joint venture in floating LNG in the high sea, so that you can get the gas there and then you use it to strip it and then send them inwards and or export. These are major areas of investment. Then building strategic crude reserves, because if you build crude reserves in various locations, then this is a new refineries, small modular refineries can surround them and get their crude from there. And whenever our export quota is challenged, you can augment from the reserves. They have work cut out for them, and they should get out of downstream. What are they doing with selling petrol when they don't even produce the petrol? Otherwise, they're going to be smuggling petrol in to supply to their stations. So they should just get out of sell that business and then sell the refineries. After all, there was a time Dangote bought those two of those refineries for 600 million, and this guy came in and returned his money. That was Yaradua. And I thought it was a strategic error. But that is past. That is in the past. But I worry about NNPC not doing their job, and then the midstream and downstream regulatory agency not doing their job at all. And I don't know why NNPC would also be funding that agency. How can you fund your regulator?
Exactly.
You can do that.
It's not right, because you now determine what the regulator says. And that becomes a problem, because they won't ever say the thing that would give them problem, because they are the sponsors in the first place. Okay, looking at all this now, I just wish that the listening ears are there to see the roles that the NNPC should play and get them compelled to play these roles and let the other people do what should be done. After I just heard, I think it's this morning, that another refinery is about to come on. That is in Port Harcourt. They call that one PH2. That's the second refinery in Port Harcourt. And I was wondering, what are we talking about this? And they said they've started a kind of test that the flaring of has been seen. The smoke has been seen, which shows that it's most likely that work will soon start there again. And I was wondering, do we still need to bother our heads about those places? Have we not been told many times that those places have become moribund? If they are still going to work, is it not better to close them down, and let the people who are specialists in these things face these things, and let the NNPC face where they're facing. Do we still have need for that? That's number one. Number two, if we do have, if it is sure that that of Port Harcourt PH2 will soon be coming up, what would they be giving? Because after all, what we've been receiving from them has been kerosene and gas, not petrol. What would they be giving now? Okay,
my answer is this. We have what we call subsidiarity principle in ECOWAS. When we develop policies, which is what I do, developing economic policy for the region, we don't worry about trying to compete with the national governments in implementing these policies. We just encourage them, give them the templates, and encourage them. And we do expect national governments, federal government, to remit to the lower government states and also to the local government things that they can do better, cheaper, and more effectively. So that's what you call subsidiarity principle. So when NNPC has thrown their weight all over all the supply chain and up and down and midstream, upstream, and then you begin to have private sector come in, who are actually the people that we want to encourage. If you want a free market, these are the people you should encourage. So why are you wasting money? Now, to build a 20,000 barrel a day modular refinery costs you about $75 million. If you want catalytic converter, it could go to 100 million. So let's stay at $100 million for 20, and you can bring them in within 6 months because they are off the shelf. Now, rather than NNPC burn $3 billion in repairing this, repairing that, that can start 30 modular refineries. It can start 3-0. And these modular refineries can specialize in different things, in different products to bring efficiency into the market, so that you stop crying that Dangote wants to dominate. It's not only want to dominate. This guy can actually do without selling a drop of fuel to Nigeria, because in a free trade zone and they're demanding his product. But as a Nigerian that has Nigerians at heart, both the citizens and industry, can't actually leave. We see the level of corruption, misalignment, and all the. You need to clean out that chain so that Nigerians can, and then over time, there will market correction. And then the industry will settle, because you are settling the supply chain. That is what he's doing. Then people now learn to live with reasonable margin, rather than instead of 50 naira you can add to the petrol station, you want to get 300. Those who invested, getting nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not about monopoly. He's not even in the downstream. So how is he monopolizing?
He's not there.
He's just in the midstream. So people are just making noises and then dissuading the real retailers that need help. The lifeline is for them to stay. And he didn't say nobody should bring his truck to his gantry. No, he didn't say that. All you know is you take your truck, bring the fuel. When the thing comes, you count your cost. See whether it's cheaper for you to just receive the 500,000 liters coming to you. Are you going to make more money? It's a decision that they will make. You can decide to redeploy your tank. After all, they may have 1 or 2 tankers. Redeploy, use it to fulfill the last mile. Because abroad, we don't have people carrying jerry cans and all these companies going to no. You use your small trucks to go and deliver and distribute to them. Those on the highway, building bridges and highway, you supply fuel to them. And those in the big agricultural farms, you supply fuel for their tractors. You do that. That's your last mile. So there's no displacement. It's just the fact that the greed and the corruption in that ecosystem is fighting back, and it's very expected.
So, but with what we are getting, both petrol and diesel will be directly delivered to the people and to filling stations and industrial facilities, just as you mentioned, and even other high volume consumers from this August 15.
Correct.
Dangote is coming. So that means they will use their own vehicles to transport these, just as you just mentioned.
Absolutely.
To all these fellows that
I want to tell you something.
Yes.
Part of the cost hike in the aviation industry, in the hotel industry, in the hospitals, all of those prices, and the ICT, your telephone cost is partly because the thousands of base stations that these companies have, transmitters have. They have 2 tankers. You have this engine. They have generators standby. Generating. They pay through their nose to get fuel.
To get those things.
And at a very high cost. And at very, very irregular. Then you have banks. The banks need to have 24/7. Because so every minute, whether midnight, you are still using it to transfer money to do that. They have to. It costs them so much. And that's why some of them are even abandoning some of their ATMs. It's all the cost, the telecom costs and the cost of running the fuel. That's what is driving them. Then also you have hospitals. And these are mission critical airlines, airports, mission critical locations that need fuel, defense sector. So you can't continue. We can't continue like that. Sometimes you sit in the airport, the light goes off. How can that be? Or in the middle of operation.
Especially in the hospitals.
Light goes off.
And so they will now have to run around, run helter-skelter to get their generators on and all that. And with these difficulties, some of the time, what if there is no fuel in the gen? And that's how life goes. So a lot needs to be done. A lot needs to be talked about in these things. And I want to say thanks again to the presidency for that political will that has brought this to happen. And thanks again to Dangote Refineries for coming up to handle this and handle it with every strength and every zeal. This will go a long way in helping those in the private sector on a serious note. There are certain things that, you just mentioned slightly that I want to bring forth here. These refineries, these modular refineries, if there are these storages, centers where they have stored things, so that the modular refineries will operate around there.
The crude reserves.
Crude reserves, yes. It will help also, just like Dangote is doing this. These modular refineries can also start doing it around them where they are. So that, because one thing I have as a problem is in Nigeria is that for so many years now, in fact, for ages, when petrol is sold for, use 900 naira for an example in Abuja, and 9 or 890 in Lagos. If you go to Oka, you find that fuel at 1,020. You've just talked about
officially. They carry your jerry can today. They exactly 1,250.
Exactly, because they'll add a whole lot more to it. And I think that with these movements now, it will make it easier that what you find in Lagos is what you find in Oboka. What you find in Lagos is what you find in Sokoto, wherever. What you find in Lagos is what you find in Karanamoda, just like that. In these other places, Borno, deep inside Borno State, you find the same price the way you find it in Lagos. This is a huge benefit that it will be of to Nigerians. But then the other problem is infrastructure. Is the infrastructure in Nigeria good enough for this to thrive?
Yeah, let me address that.
Especially the road.
The cheapest and most effective way to transport these petroleum products would be pipeline.
Yes.
But I know of the 22 pipeline projects and depots, we have issues. They're not working.
They're not working well right now.
So that becomes a problem. And they're owned by NNPC, not by Dangote.
Yes.
The second method that is equally as cheap, but a lot less more expensive, is the rail. Using the rail line. Because that's very, very cheap.
Yes.
But again, you've seen it. The Lagos, the Port Harcourt, Meduguri rail line is not working. You've got so much, so it's not a viable option now because it's not working. It's not there.
Yes.
Then you now come to the using the road, and then when you are going to use the road, bear in mind the pollution. So the CNG becomes the big option that reduces cost. The CNG will deliver not less than 40% cost compared to using fuel to drive those trucks.
Yes.
So you got a massive gain from that. But also, you are also having this guy promise to get daughter booster stations, which will help not only his trucks, but all other trucks that are going to be doing conversion.
Okay.
So it's a big thing in the economy. It's raising the whole CNG project initiative to another level. So that's why the presidential initiative guys, CNG, they're happy, because it has taken their project to another level.
Yes.
And in all of this, who is benefiting? The benefit is to go straight to the consumers, which are 230 million people, and to the businesses that need this product at a reasonable cost and accessible and affordable. Those are the people. And who else supports? Employment enjoys and increases, GDP goes up, inflation comes down. You know, we now breathe life into our economy. At the moment, it's just not happening.
Okay. I want to thank you so much, Prof, for the time we have spent over this. But before we go, I want to say something. I have heard and read that CNG itself needs to be revived, revamped, and renewed after every 15 years. The vehicles and all that, after every 15 years. I hope we're thinking about that.
I hope so. But what you have is a better option than what we are having at the moment.
Okay.
You have your engines that are getting knocked.
Yes.
You have your cars that are getting knocked because of bad fuel.
Bad fuel.
You have all kinds of other things.
Okay.
Doesn't even be, your car won't even last that 15 years.
15 years
when
anyway,
you use this kind of fuel.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you so much, sir. This is another side of it, which I will still want to expand some other time. But for now, we want to say that it's been wonderful sharing the moment with you, sir.
Thank you.
As always, it's a pleasure having you, sir. It's always a learning process with you and the program. Please keep coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. I've been speaking with Professor Ken Ife. Of course, as I've said before, he is the chief economic strategist in the ECOWAS Commission, and he has really spoken like that, to that effect, showing us the way it affects every other country apart from Nigeria. And then we also know that he is a London Enterprise Ambassador. And finally, not forgetting, the president of the Institute of Professional Economists and Policy Management. Thank you again, sir.
Well done.
Right. This is how we'll be wrapping it up today, packing up for the day also. And let me not forget to say special thanks to Ihanyo Goji for being there for me. And there has been some other fellows that have also worked with me, Samuel Wankwo and Blissful Capacity. We've worked with these men. And we will not forget also that Victor Adeye is here for us. And we also have Esther Abraham, my assistant, helping to put everything in order. Let me not forget that Felix Akinjabola has also worked with Victor Chizea. Together, we've all done things to make sure that it comes to you the best way. Thank you so much for being there. Okechukwu Onubogu here would always say, may the best happen to us all the time.